All right, welcome to Law on Tap. And today we get to welcome Shannon Montgomery to the team because you just joined the firm of Credence. So, welcome.
Thanks. Hello, everybody watching.
I figure this is a good chance for folks to get to know you a little bit. You have more of a presence on social media than I do, for sure. So, I'm the amateur here, you're the professional, but I will lead the conversation anyway. I'll take a moderator's privilege, I guess.
Perfect.
So I guess the first question for you is, what made you go to law school? Why become a lawyer in the first place?
Well, that's the age-old question, isn't it? I actually wanted to be a sports agent. So having a poli-sci degree wasn't going to get me that agent spot that I wanted because you either need to have a master's in business or a law degree. And so I decided, let me go to law school and become an agent. And then I spent all of my time in law school working in sports. So I worked for some really cool agents, and I worked for an arena football team in Florida. I got to do some pretty cool free labor.
Of course.
When I got out of law school, trying to get a job and navigate the whole sports industry as a female with I have sports experience, but my experience is cheerleading and gymnastics and things like that. And also that was 2013 when I graduated. And so the landscape was a little bit different. I feel like now maybe I would have been welcomed just a little bit more. But when I realized it wasn't going to go anywhere, I had to get a real job as a lawyer.
So that's interesting. Being a sports agent, I had looked at that at one point for hockey because my wife and I were watching a lot of hockey, and our son was playing hockey. I was playing hockey. I was coaching hockey, and I thought, well, I may as well just go all in. And I got the documents I needed to try to register as an agent, and it seemed like it was a very uphill battle to get into a very small, tight-knit community. Were there certain sports that you wanted to be an agent for?
I was primarily looking at football and basketball. Baseball, you don't need the law degree from what I remember. That may have changed now. But the NBA and the NFL both require an upper level degree in order to sit for their test. So those are the two primary sports, and only because having been at University of Florida, I was always a sports fan. My dad kind of raised us to be crazy fanatics.
Yeah.
But being at Florida, and we were really good when I was there, I just got really sucked into sports and football and, basketball being secondary. So those were the two that I really wanted to work in. And then because I'm a little bit stubborn, I was unwilling to look at soccer or other areas that may have been slightly easier to break into. But that's like my biggest flaw is that I'm very stubborn. So, I've thought about looking into getting back into it. And I've worked with some college athletes now that NIL is a thing. So that kind of feeds that, passion a little bit. And I feel like the NIL opening that up, it's going to be a whole new market for agents. So maybe I'll go full circle and be able to fulfill that dream at some point.
Well, you're down in Houston, and I'm sitting up here just north of Dallas in Frisco. And Frisco is sort of a sports capital. Our office is at the Dallas Cowboys headquarters, same area, and then we have there's Major League Soccer team right down the road. PGA is coming. We have some clients who have been associated with PGA, and we have some former NFL players as clients. We have at least 3 or 4 former players, one of whom I helped when he was playing. So maybe there's still a world for some sports agent work. You never know.
I would love that. For whatever reason, I don't know what it is about athletes. I do in a sense. They're so driven and so passionate, and so their work ethic obviously is second to none. And I just love that energy and being in that environment. Those are my favorite kind of people to work with.
Well, so speaking of work ethic, I know the little known but much known fact that you have quite the work ethic in the fitness world from doing competition. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I do. Yeah, I love bodybuilding. Most people think it's super weird. I started competing. I actually waited to compete until I was out of law school.
Hmm.
I started getting I've been lifting weights since I was 15, very young. My dad, he was a very manly, sports oriented dude, and then he had three girls, and he wasn't really sure what to do with us. So
It's
he
like,
took us to
what
the
do I
gym.
do now?
Yeah, he took us to the gym because he at least figured, okay, I can teach them how to lift and we can do that together and it'll be.
Yeah.
So he took us when we were really pretty young. And I don't think he intended for me to fall in love with it the way I did, but I
Hmm.
fell really hard and I started lifting and never really looked back. And I always knew in the back of my head I wanted to compete in some capacity because I am kind of a hyper competitive person and I
Hmm.
need that sort of outlet. Um, but with school and, when you're young, when you're in college, that's not really bodybuilding. It's not the most conducive to also enjoying college life. And law school, you need to be focusing on the work. So when I finally got out of law school, I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I competed in 2014, I think was
Hmm.
my first year. And that was it. I fell in love and I've been doing it ever since. I did take a nice long break. So I took about 4 years off. I mean, it doesn't mean that you like take off. I'm still working out and eating pretty regimented and all of those
You're
things.
like deloading. You were
Yeah. Taking a life break, trying to
yeah.
find a little bit more balance because you're definitely not balanced. You can't be when you're competing and you have to be 100% focused. And it can be very distracting towards the end because you get really tired and it can be very time consuming. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's something that I imagine I'll probably do forever. You can
Hmm.
kind of compete. They have age groups. I've been at shows where there are, people in their 70s competing. And
Wow.
yeah, that's my favorite thing to see mostly because they're just up there. They still look amazing and they're still working so hard and they're obviously very healthy. So I aim to be like that, hopefully.
And so with that sports background and your personal experience in the fitness industry, I know you've done some legal work in the fitness world, right? With the supplement world, nutrition world. I mean, tell me a little bit about that because I think that's a world that could be hard to get. I imagine it could be hard to get into to
Yeah,
get people to know you, like you, trust you in that world.
I think so. I think for me specifically, I started working with fitness influencers, and that is only because of my Instagram and my stupid Instagram handle that I made when I was in law school that I didn't intend for anyone to see. And then
And
somehow,
what is that handle? You better share it out.
lifting lawyer.
Lifting lawyer. That's a
So
good handle.
it's so silly, but I made it private and it was just a fitness account. And then somehow Facebook made it unprivate and
It
told
outed you. It
yes,
outed
it
you
told
as a
all of
fitness.
my friends that I was on Instagram as lifting lawyer. And I was like, oh my gosh, I started getting all these people following me. And I was like, oh no, the world knows. But at that point, it was too late. So I just kept it. But because of that, I had a lot of influencers in like 2016 around there start reaching out to me to just say, hey, I see that you're a lawyer. You obviously are in the workout, fitness. I have this contract for a sponsorship agreement or deal. Do you mind looking at it? Or can you tell me this? And I would even get random like criminal law questions and stuff. And I'd be like, I
Huh.
actually can't help you with that, but let me see if I can find somebody. And so I just kind of started working with influencers in the fitness space. And then because of that, influencers are also like hyper competitive and entrepreneurial, and a lot of them wanted to build businesses and do different things. So
Hmm.
then I started to develop my skill set as a lawyer to help them do that. And that's where I got connected with some other lawyers who work in the supplement space because I was getting clients who wanted to start brand supplement companies. And I was like, well, this is much bigger than what I know how to do right now. So let me find people who we can trust and who are, like-minded, self-proclaimed meatheads, that kind of thing. And so that was 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, and I've just been doing that ever since. But it works out well because I think, especially in the fitness space, people have a tendency to be afraid of lawyers and not
Hmm.
want to work with them, whether it's because they think they can't afford it or they don't. feel like they'll be taken seriously. So I've found a lot of people appreciate that not only am I a lawyer, but I also understand the daily grind of, being into
Yeah.
fitness and dedicating yourself to something like bodybuilding or powerlifting, things like that. So it's been a nice little match, I would say.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you came on board, it turned out we had a client who you knew personally, and you knew their companies. That's been a good connection. Uh, I do not come from the world of bodybuilding, but having come from the army and like working out a lot in the army and training for army schools and such, I
Mhm.
think gave me a little bit of a sense of how to talk in that space. But it's so nice. I bet they are very grateful to have someone to say, here's the product, here's what it does, or here's what I'm trying to do, and you go, oh, I know all about that. I'm familiar with that world. So
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. And I'm a supplement junkie myself, so I love working with supplement companies because I most likely have used their products.
yeah,
They've been on the shelf for any extended period of time because I can't help myself, even though I know that you don't need supplements, but
that's right.
they're a fantastic addition to your daily life.
They
So
supplement the process.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we'll have to have a whole separate conversation about that. Maybe we'll go down the pathway of like talking about supplements, and we'll
Yeah,
we'll,
we should.
we'll
Maybe
see
some
where we end up.
The FDA was going a little wild last week. I think they sent out 11 or so letters to some various companies telling them they had to pull products and things like that. So,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, some big companies too, not just.
See, you've got the subject matter expertise. We'll have to do a whole show and start talking about these topics. But for
Yeah, people are
today,
interested.
I just wanted to welcome you to the team, give a chance for people to learn a little bit more about you, and I'm sure they're going to be seeing you around more in future shows because you are more articulate on the camera than I am. I'm going to make you start running all these shows.
Okay, I'll be the host. That's fine.
That sounds good. Well, I'm going to count us out. Thanks so much, and we will talk to you, I'm sure, later on today because there's work to be done.
All right.
All
Sounds
right,
good.
everyone out there, check out Lifting Lawyer. Let's add some likes there. All right,
Yes.
all right, take care.